Hello, Contrarians, listeners, watchers, subscribers. Here we are with another Contrarians QVR, a video review featuring both of us. That's why all of you can see it. We're doing the movie Babyteeth, demanded by patron Ben Murray, a movie we know very little about. I know two things about Babyteeth, Alex. One, Ben Medelsohn is in it. I don't know if he's the baby or the
Or
teeth.
the teeth.
Yeah. Maybe he's the person that coins the name Babyteeth for someone else. But we like Ben Medelsohn. We've talked about Ben Medelsohn here and there on the show. And then the other thing I know is that a movie we did recently, I want to say it might be Strange Darling, on the quotes, somebody compared it to... No, it wasn't Strange Darling. It was... what was the other Kyle Goldner movie we did where he was a punk rocker?
Dinner in America?
Dinner in America. I think one of the quotes from the critics compared it to Babyteeth, which gives me hope for Babyteeth because we both like Dinner in America quite a bit. So
Correct.
We'll see. Maybe Ben Medelsohn is an aging rocker, a punk rocker. You never know. How about you, Alex? What do you know about Babyteeth? Did you look up anything about it?
No, just like a Google search. Yeah, Ben Mendelsohn's the only person I recognize, and 94% on Rotten Tomatoes, 2 hours long. It's about the extent of it. Kind of going in back row blind on this one.
That's the best way to go. 2020 release. That's the other thing. So It's a movie that if it got a theatrical release, unless it got in really early in the year, it probably got screwed when it came to box office. So we'll see. We'll see as we progress. But for those of you who are new here, what we're going to do is we're going to watch half of the movie, probably about an hour. Then we'll stop, come back, reconvene, and talk about what's going on, predict what's going to happen, kind of feel out how we're feeling about just the movie so far. Maybe we're already checked out by the 1 hour mark. We'll see. And then once the movie ends, we come back one more time for another segment where we rank it, we give our full analysis, and then we say goodbye. So that's it. Like Alex said, it's 2 hours. So we'll be back in an hour to see if Ben Medelsohn has even shown up. He's not in the poster. The poster is some girl with blue hair. She looks a little bit like Kirsten Dunst. Right? Yeah. Maybe. It's maybe not Kirsten Dunst. But anyway, we'll be back in an hour with Babyteeth Part 1.
I hate to ask you this. I'm trying to put some money together to get a bed and a shelter.
I only got 50.
50? That's too much. I can't.
Can split it.
No. 50's okay.
If I give you 50, you have to do something for me.
You look like a different person. What have you done with my daughter?
I killed her.
Oh, my God.
You make a habit of befriending girls that are significantly younger than yourself.
Oh, my God.
Oh, God.
I lost my hair.
It looks cool. It's like way better than the one that I gave you.
No.
I have no idea what you're feeling.
I can't feel anything because I can't breathe because you take up all the air.
This is the worst possible parenting I can imagine.
All right, we are back. Babyteeth, 1 hour in. Like, perfectly timed, Alex. Like, between the 1 hour and 1 hour, 1 minute mark, we got another of those very quirky, very cutesy title screens. Were they
cutesy?
Or were you like, that's all right, I'll take it?
What, the title cards or
the title card?
Oh yeah, it's whatever. you know, those can. It doesn't annoy me like it does in some movies that we've talked about.
It's not like when they were showing up in the Suicide Squad.
No. And it's not Kirsten Dunst. This girl looks like Mae Whitman. I was trying to remember her name when we were recording the first part.
Yes, I got that vibe, and then I was like, all right, do I know her from anything? And then when I went to the IMDb page, Alex, I realized that we were both wrong. Besides Ben Medelsohn, there are two people in this movie that have been in Contrarians canon before. One is this girl, Mila. Eliza, what's her last name?
Scanlon?
So Eliza Scanlon played Beth in the 2019 Little Women. So,
yeah, I wouldn't remember that, but right on.
She has a knack for playing characters that are not in top health condition, I think.
Yes, there you go.
And then more recently, look, I'm not going to get on to you because I didn't recognize her until I pulled up the filmography. Anne, the mom, has a knack for having complicated children. She's the mom from the Babadook. Essie Davis? Is that her name? Yeah, Essie Davis.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, the Babadook was at least, 5-6 years before this?
Yeah, she doesn't look like the same person.
I mean, raising that child.
Yeah, I guess so. Hair color can make a big difference too. Because she's kind of like a dirty blonde in that movie, right?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, she has the...
Sandy blonde would probably be nicer to say.
Dirty blonde.
Yeah. No, I definitely did not recognize at all. But yeah, she just can't catch a break, man.
I know. Hopefully she went on and did like a nice romantic comedy after this. Yes.
And then Ben Mendelsohn's rocking the stash also, which I'm a big fan of.
Is that what's your take? Do you prefer Mendo with stash or without the stash?
I think he looks great in this. Just very hardened. Sometimes a mustache can make a guy look kind of weird or off. He looks like a badass. Very Don Fry, Tom Selleck, Burt Reynolds-esque.
I guess since we're on Mendelsohn, before we even get to the movie itself, but do you think we're going to see him cheat on his wife in the second half of the movie?
I hope so. He's got a tough time at home, man. He's got to get it somehow.
Is he?
I'm just kidding. He's oddly, not oddly necessarily, but he has this attraction to this neighborhood girl who's pregnant. They have like a meet cute, as it were, and the last we saw, they just had like longing eye contact, but
right. But are we and Mendelsohn misreading these signals, or
very possible? I mean, she's pregnant. I mean, it's a dangerous game to play. She could be married for all he knows.
Yes. All he knows is that she has a dog that has his name. That's it. All right. So I didn't know, even though I could have, I guess, suspected that this is an Australian movie, right? Because Ben Medelsohn is Australian. If I had recognized Essie Davis, and the Babadook was Australian, so I would have put 2 and 2 together. I would have been like, this is probably an Australian movie, which in my book now means that it's a hard movie to categorize when it comes to genre. I think that if this was an American movie, I would have felt very comfortable saying, oh, this is a comedy at the beginning. But I was not sure, and then eventually we got into it being the story of a girl that's having some serious health problems, and I was like, yeah, this is probably not going to be very funny. Was that your experience? How did you come at this?
You cut out there for a second, so I'm coming back into this, just guessing that you were saying this was going to be super Australian, very Wake and Fright-esque. Is that what you were saying? You were expecting like kangaroos and shit?
Not in that sense, although, well, I mean, we have an hour to go, so it could happen. More in the sense that every time that we've
talking
watched...
about Tim Tams and Vegemite.
Yes. Most Australian movies we've done seem to have... What I came to it was, on my notes, I wrote, like, there's no safety net with Australian movies. That's what I figured. With most American movies, I think, even British movies, once you realize what kind of movie you're in, you're like, oh, this is going to be a comedy, right? This is going to be a coming-of-age movie. For the most part, you know that there's some things that are not going to happen. But with Australian movies, I find that even when you've kind of gotten into the groove of the movie, something horrible may happen to one of the characters. For stuff that we cover on the show, like Muriel's Wedding, it's about like 45 minutes in before Rachel Griffiths can't feel her legs, and suddenly she has a tumor in her back, and it just goes really dark, right? And it doesn't get... Then a little bit later, her mom commits suicide and so on. So
mental.
Yes.
A whole lot of shit that happens in that. I knew it was by an Australian filmmaker. By the way, the only movie she's done, this was her directorial debut, and to date, the only feature-length film she's directed, Shannon Murphy, that is. The pacing of this is very deliberate, and I think that's... I am with you. If something can go awry at any second, given like the subject matter and the characters involved here, but it's very just kind of like, I don't want to say slow because that has a negative connotation, but it's just kind of plotting would be maybe a word to use.
That's even more negative, I think.
Is it?
Just plotting.
I'm not trying to be negative because I'm very curious what the second half of this movie is going to hold. I'm kind of interested in these characters, and yeah, it's a fairly bleak affair. I'm assuming Babyteeth is like a literary like synonym for like pills.
Oh, like Australian
shaken,
slang. Like,
well, I don't know about slang, but just the idea of like, you know, some people keep their kids' baby teeth in like maybe a little jar or something like that, and you know, it's makes the same sound as a pill bottle rattling. I could be completely off, but
I like that. I like that take. I mean, we already got the titular line pretty early on from Essie Davis. She looked at the camera and she said, "She has her baby teeth."
And then we got a weird part where the lead girl, Mila, broke the fourth wall after.
Yeah. Okay, I thought it was just
before she kissed her would-be boyfriend, douchebag Moses.
You don't like Moses?
Well, not where we just left the movie off. He like abandoned her on a rooftop somewhere. We didn't know where she was.
All right, let's talk about Moses because that's one of my questions. I was like, one, does he know how sick she is? Because I'm not clear if he realizes that she has cancer. She's going through chemotherapy. She's relapsed, so that means that she's had it for a while, and so on, right? It's hard to read this guy. Like, he could be just so oblivious and so not interested really in her that he could be missing like what seems to be pretty obvious, right? She has the nosebleeds. Her hair has fallen. Yeah, and she takes medication, and if she doesn't, she gets nausea and all that stuff. And whether he does or doesn't, does he care? Do you think that he cares? There's like a couple moments where I was like, maybe he does care, but like you just said, he just abandoned her in a rooftop. So I mean, granted, something could have happened
after like ditching her at a party to go hang out with some girl he was canoodling with, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's established also that one of the reasons he's hung around her is access to pharmaceutical drugs in their home that he hoists and then sells for markup. Yeah, I don't know. I assume this will, if I had to guess, having watched a few movies in my day, there may be like, he realizes he does like her and wants to like win her back and it's too late or some shit. Or again, there could be some catastrophic tragedy that happens and it's just like, oh.
It is an Australian movie. So yeah. I was trying to figure out if he cared, and also I was trying to figure out if the movie wanted me to find him sympathetic, or if am I supposed to be rooting for them to figure out to become a couple? Because I can see, especially from the mom's point of view, from Essie Davis's, she alternates between telling him stay away from my daughter, but also she seems to recognize that even if he's a piece of shit, he makes her happy. Yeah. And it's making her get through. It's helping her get through this very difficult stage in her life because, for better or for worse, she's excited to see him and she wants to go to prom. That is my prediction, Alex, that the climax of this movie is the prom, the formal, I guess that's what they call it here.
Or he shows up in
his suit.
Yeah. Yeah, there is some comedy to it also. It's very measured. That's probably the word I was looking for earlier. And yeah, I'm interested in where it's going to go. Ben Mendelsohn did have a great line of what did he say? He's like, I don't know if you make a habit of befriending girls who are dramatically younger than you are, but it's not, I'm butchering it, but his delivery of it was really good. And then he tries to explain then and there that she's got a lot on her plate, but he gets interrupted and not able to get it out.
Yeah. How do you like the music so far? They've had a couple
hit and miss. There's been some songs that I've been like kind of nodding my head or tapping my foot to, and others. That first song that started playing, like that was I don't know what kind of music it was, but the audio, not the audio, but like it was just so unexpected. It was I thought that like an ad had popped up in one of my other tabs and started playing because I didn't know that was. I had like paused the movie, like, oh no, that's in there because it just fucking comes in. I think she presses like play on a radio or some shit.
When she starts dancing, is that when she's with the music teacher? Yeah,
yeah. It's a very strange. Fuck, I'm trying to remember what kind of music it is, but it's not that the music's strange. It's just that tonally, it's kind of out of nowhere, and you're like, oh, okay.
Nah,
and that's honestly that's the same with all the music, like at the party and stuff. Like one of the things is like, oh, the music that plays over what's happening doesn't really match up with like the feel of what's happening, which is really unique and so far one of the more memorable things about this movie.
Yeah, that's why I ask you, because I felt the same way. I like it, and I think that part of it, seeing her dance both times, you know, at the teacher's house and then at the party, she's dancing, and especially at the party, at the teacher's house, I think it actually, the way she's moving, it kind of fits the music. When you're looking at the party, I thought it looked like they told her, okay, here you dance, but without playing any music, right? And then they added the music later. So it's not quite right. But still, the energy of her just kind of abandoning herself to the feel of the music. And I guess
it was actually
the vodka.
AC/DC's Back in Black they were playing.
Yes. All that headbanging.
And Post. Well, that's a Friday the 13th Part 4 joke for any of y'all out there.
Oh, is that... Marty McFly's dad dancing.
Yeah, the famous Crispin Glover dance scene. The story is that it was Back in Black they were playing, which when you watch it, that's not how someone would dance to Back in Black, which makes it even funnier.
Well, she dances. Mila dances here at least 2 times. Once her mom watches in awe with a big smile.
Hopefully she will continue to dance.
Yeah, we'll see. It could go either way. Like I said, she could not make it by the end of the movie, which would be really sad. These Australian movies just keep me on edge.
Keep you on your toes.
Yeah. I wish I could relax and know that, it's gonna be okay, because overall there's a lightheartedness, I think, to the story. I honestly thought that they were not even going to focus on the fact that she has cancer for a while. Because at the beginning of the movie, the only reason you find out is because there's a title card that tells you, right? She's in remission, and she just it just came back and she's going to chemo. And I thought, is that what this movie's going to do? It's going to tell us a story where she has cancer, but it's never going to be something that people talk about. It's just something that you kind of see here and there. But then that has kind of taken over the narrative now, which is it's fine, but I really don't know if we're in for a happy ending or a sad one. The image of the
scene's gonna have Donald Pleasance just sitting at a table drinking, and you're like, oh no,
with a bunch of instead of the coins for that game that they play in Wake and Fright, it's just all teeth.
These came from a baby.
Oh God. The last thing that
his name was Michael.
The first shot of the movie is that Babyteeth floating and has a little bit of blood, and I mean, I guess
that didn't look like a baby tooth. That looked like a tooth that was completely ripped out of someone's fucking mouth.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I just assumed. I let the movie. That's the name of the movie, so I just assumed it was a Babyteeth. I guess it wouldn't have that long of a root, right? Okay. Well.
And from what I recall, you bleed a little bit, but you never, when you lost a baby tooth.
It's been so long.
I remember the last time I lost a tooth. It was, was supposed to. I've been very fortunate not had any teeth accidents. There was one of my molars, and I would have been still like 14. And at that point, I thought I had lost all my baby teeth.
So you freaked out?
I bit into a pink starburst. It was at a school dance, and I just like bit into it, and it just ripped it out like clean. And I was like, huh? And then like I just pulled it out, and like tooth was in there, just like perfectly taken out. And I was like trying to remember if I'd ever lost that one. And
so the way to find out is you put it under your pillow, and then you just wait to see what happens next day. Final question, Alex. Ben Medelsohn won't put the sandwich down before having sex with his wife.
It's the George Costanza thing. Do you remember that episode where he eats during sex, and it's like the greatest? Like he has like a Reuben or something. I just remember he's like having sex, and then he leans over to the side and he's like, spicy mustard, and then he takes a bite and he's like, ah, like he's all like fired up. Yeah, Ben Mendelsohn appreciates a good sandwich, but he incorporates it into like the foreplay when he hooks his wife up with
a bite.
medication. Yeah.
I guess it kind of grossed me out.
He's
But
like, take this with food.
Yeah, we're not gonna kink shame if eating while doing the deed is your thing.
Never spice it up like strawberries or chocolate syrup or something.
Food and sex are two separate things.
Oh man,
they shall not intermingle.
Shame.
I'm sorry.
I'm not.
Sorry for being such a square.
I'm not advocating down in a hoagie while you're going to town, but you know.
Sound off in the comments. Let us know.
Yeah.
Are you pro food in the middle of? I mean, I'm cool with like before or after, but in the middle of it just feels like it's not sanitary, I think. Anyway, I'm assuming you guys are watching the movie along with us. If you're not, I don't think that there's a whole lot that would have lost you so far, but just so you know, Mila is this teenager. She started this really complicated relationship with an older kid named Moses. She has cancer. She's going through chemo. Her parents are freaking out.
He's a drug dealer that they don't want around.
Yeah.
And she's obviously kind of fallen for him, and she's acting strange. But yeah. Like I said, very deliberate pacing, so it's not like we skipped a lot of shit that happened.
Yeah, no, it's not rushing through anything. And as we stopped, they'd spend the night at a rooftop, but she woke up and he had left. I mean, he told her he was coming back in 5 minutes. He never came back, and now it's morning, and she's not well. So, hell, she might die in the next 5 minutes, for all we know. Thank you, Australia. But we'll be back. We're going to finish the movie, and then we'll tell you how we feel about it. All right? All right, we are back. We finished Babyteeth. This movie took a bit of a turn into the sad and depressing. Yes. My worst fears realized. Australian filmmakers don't care about making you feel good. They just care about making you feel. And sometimes it just means punching you in the heart. This is rough. And we'll peek behind the scenes. We finished the movie on Sunday, but then we had to stop the recording right away. So we, it's been a couple days, which means that I've had this feeling of being bummed by Babyteeth just simmering in my
percolating.
Yeah, in my psyche, and I didn't really want to talk to anybody about it because then it would just I didn't want to. I was like, no, the conversation has to come when we record.
No.
So maybe it's giving me a little bit more time to think about what I think works and doesn't work than if we had recorded right away. But I think that's to the benefit of this conversation. Because honestly, Alex, when it was done, I was like, I looked at the Rotten Tomatoes score. It was like 93%, I think. And I was like, I don't think so, man. But I was having trouble articulating why I disagree with that outpour of love. So I'm curious to see how you feel and why you feel the way you feel. Because we exited the first half, I think, fairly positive on the movie, right? So just broad strokes. How did Babyteeth work for you?
Well, as I text you, Australian Theo Vaughn.
Which I was like, who is that?
Yeah, Toby Wallace. He was pretty good. He definitely brought it more in the second half. Yeah, it's okay. Unfortunately, it gets kind of predictable where it's going in a depressing way. And like Essie Davis and Ben Mendelsohn, especially in the last few minutes of the movie, are pretty heartbreaking. Yeah, I don't know if it fell off as much for me as it sounds like for you. I was just kind of like, I was interested in where it was going, and when the movie ended, to me, it was like, yeah, there's some good acting in there, but I just kind of felt it was kind of an average movie overall.
I think there's like the two things. One, that it fell off for me. Like there is a very specific moment where I disconnected from the movie, and I'll tell you about it in a couple minutes. But there was also the surprise, I guess, at the critical adoration.
Mm-hmm.
I was not expecting it to be in the 90s. Of course, this is silly because our show is about how that number doesn't mean anything, and it doesn't. Yeah. But still, our show is also about the psychological impact when you see a Rotten Tomato fresh tomato with the score in the 90s. It affects the way you feel about the movie before and after you watch it. So this is beloved, and I understand logically why. It's like the performances are good, they're brave in a way. There's a couple of scenes that go for it, and I think that they work. But I felt like I should have been absolutely devastated by this movie, and I wasn't. Instead, I was just kind of like, oh, that sucked. So we'll get there. I just want a couple things that we got right. And of course, they were super obvious. One, Ben Medelsohn does cheat on his wife. He doesn't go all the way, but he kisses the neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
Were you disappointed that it didn't go any further?
He like immediately regrets it, so no.
Not just that, Alex. He immediately regrets it, and then the next scene, I think he's shooting up in his office.
Yeah, with morphine.
Yeah,
which is pretty fucking intense.
He said it was the first time. He said he hadn't done it before. So
it's a pretty intense thing to have never done before by yourself.
I mean, I guess the logic is the guilt, the confusion from having cheated on his wife. From I think kissing the neighbor is still cheating, even if they didn't have sex. And so I think that maybe that was eating him up, and it's like, I just don't know what else to do. So morphine. I guess as a doctor, he has access to it.
This will work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it was probably his daughter's morphine, right? Because they give her morphine.
Mm-hmm.
So we got that right. And then, of course, probably the most obvious thing is that, what is this girl's name? Molly? Ellie?
The lead?
The lead. Mila.
Yeah.
Mila doesn't make it to the end of the movie. You have somebody that had a pretty serious sickness, and it never really seems. She just keeps getting worse. What I did not expect was that Moses was going to almost amour her.
Yeah. And that just turned into foreplay.
Yes. I think that scene probably is one of those where critics were like, this is so brave. This is so bold. Only in Australia. Tell me about this, Alex. How do you feel about that specific plot point? That they're lying in bed. She's like, I can't do this anymore. I want you to kill me. And it looks like he almost does it. But then last minute he stops, and then they have sex.
What about it?
I mean, I don't know. I was watching it, and I was like, I get it.
I mean, it is also like the situation's just kind of weird, and he's older than her and whatnot, and I don't know. None of this really, as far as like things I watched in this movie and had any kind of like emotional reverberation with me, is pretty much Ben Medelsohn, Essie Davis a little bit too.
I agree.
Yeah. I don't know the story of the woman who wrote this, Rita Kalnahais. It looks like this was a play that was written, and for all I know, this could be based on like her own personal experience or someone she knows or something like that. So, if this was motivated by something, great, good. I'm glad like that experience was able to use to be fleshed out on screen and whatnot. But I watched it. I was just like, okay.
But you shouldn't, right? Like you should have a stronger reaction to such an extreme act on the screen.
Yeah.
And that's how I felt. I was like, oh, they're going there. And then, oh, no, they're not going there, but they're going somewhere else. And it just felt like like there's two levels of appreciation. Like me appreciating the fact that they were boldly going to that place. But then also on the other hand, me being kind of disconnected from the emotion of it. I feel like I should have felt very deeply the fact that this guy was agreeing to kill her.
Yeah.
And then when he doesn't, that they have sex. But I was unmoved on that. Like it was intellectual. My reaction to it was like, I did not expect this, but not. And I think the problem is
what's going on here.
Yeah. But I think the problem is that I don't like Moses. I
guess that's the interesting part. I don't think there's really nothing likable about him, but he's also not like a lovable idiot or anything like that. So it's just kind of like, yeah, if you're not into it, you're not into it.
I think that this works better if you like him at least enough to where you feel really bad for him for being put in that position. Right? But I didn't. So I think that the only way that the movie could have achieved that after everything we've seen is if he actually went through and killed her. And then we see that has changed him forever. And I'll be like, holy shit, I don't hate this guy anymore. Now I feel bad for him. But that never happened. Instead, they have sex, and then the next morning, he doesn't even break the news to the parents. Instead, he kind of lets them find out. I feel bad for Medelsohn. I feel bad for Essie Davis, but I have no connection to him. And
well, Medelsohn figures it out because then we see like the scene that's happened previously of basically his daughter admitting to him that she's ready to end her life. I don't know. You think it's something similar like that Last of Us episode with Nick Offerman and like,
oh, dude,
yeah, it's what we're just talking about. As someone who's suffering asked to be put down, for lack of a better term, and but that thing, goddamn, talk about reverberating emotionally.
Yep.
I've watched it like 3 times and I've cried every time I've watched that.
Yep. I think that even if you don't cry, like it's funny because my wife watched it with me, and she was mad. I watched it twice. I watched it first by myself, and then we watched it together. She was catching up, and she was mad. She was mad at not Nick Offerman, but his partner for putting him in that position. But even so, like that's a reaction, right? Like you have an emotional reaction that I didn't have watching this. I was not mad at her for putting him in that position, and I wasn't sorry for him for being in that position.
Also, like an insane level of trust you would have to just with someone to like ask him that genuinely.
Yeah, but I think that dude has proven, if he's proven anything in this movie, it's that, yeah, I mean, you can probably talk him into anything.
Yeah.
So it's not, I don't think.
Well, from a certain perspective, but yeah, in this case, she's like, yeah, this guy's an idiot. I can just have him do
this. Yeah. And in a way,
Murray Bartlett's that guy's name.
He's so worthless that he doesn't even go through with it, right? What is it that causes him not to? Because she tells him, I'm going to fight back at some point, and don't stop, because that's just my body fighting back, but that's a reflex. You should still keep doing it. But when she starts fighting back, he stops. Does he stop because he cares for her so much that he can't do it? Does he stop just because he doesn't have it in him to kill a person? Does he stop because he realizes that she really doesn't want it? I mean, I don't know, and I don't care, and I should care. So if I have to boil down why this movie doesn't quite work for me the way that it might work for a lot of people, is that the Moses character, which is a fourth of the cast, a fourth of the main cast, doesn't really work for me other than as a plot device, right? He's the guy that gets this thing rolling. He's this element that introduces a disruption on this family, and that's what the movie's about in the end. Yeah. that was the other thing that I guess we kind of talked about in the previous segment, that this movie was maybe going to turn into this thing of, well, he's a necessary evil. We don't like him, but she likes him, and so we're going to bring him in to make her life happier, with the time she has left. And that kind of becomes something that happens in the second half. Medelsohn hunts him down and tells him, I'll give you the drugs, just come live with us.
Yeah, there's that shot of like, it's just Mendelssohn's head. Like, it's one of those moments in a movie that felt like that sort of the real change would be. He's just like, Moses! And then he like tackles him. Yeah. It's good stuff.
So Medelsohn gets, what is the Oscar clip for this kid, for Moses? That when you texted me, you said he got the Oscar clip.
Oh, when he gets kicked out and then sneaks back in to like bare his soul to her, and talking about like he's only ever seen his dad one time, and talks about his shitty relationship with his mom. He's just trying to like bare his soul to her and say, this is who I am. She, take it or leave it.
She's like, of course I'll take it.
Yeah,
I love
exactly.
you.
She's like, get into bed, you big lug.
The Oscar clip for me is Medelsohn. It wouldn't happen because he's not so showy, but it was the moment where I was like, man, he's such a great actor. And it's that the epilogue at the beach. Mm-hmm. She's passed away and he's trying to take her picture. And then she's like, no, I'm going to take your picture. And then while she has the camera pointed on at him, she starts telling him how she feels. I don't remember if it's before or after she takes the camera that she tells him, promise me you're going to take care of Moses, which is, I get it. Such a shitty thing to ask your dad. Take care of this guy you don't like. But then, he's there. The camera's pointed at him and she's like, smile. And he's trying to smile even though he's falling apart.
Yeah.
It's amazing acting,
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. Essie Davis gets the big Oscar clip that you would expect, which is when she finds out that she's dead and starts like beating on Moses. That's more traditional.
Yeah, it's more in line with your traditional reactions to the situation. Yeah. And then they kind of like collapse together, which I kind of enjoyed. Yeah, there's some good stuff in this, and some good acting, and some interesting like moments that had me think of like, if I was in this situation, or it is the idea of someone you love suffering from an illness is something I'm familiar with, and but with all that, like, there wasn't anything like revelatory, and it wasn't. I just at no point felt like I was watching something that was like more than, I guess. It's a fine movie. It's well acted. There's some really good performances in it, but I don't know. I kind of wanted it to take it to another. Like I kept hoping it would go to like another level, and it just never did at any point.
Yeah, the moment where I disconnected from the movie, where I stopped following the story and was like, what the fuck is this? What happened? Is there big Christmas dinner, I guess, or lunch? By the way, is this a Christmas movie now, Alex?
It could be.
We spent about 20 minutes on Christmas. Moses goes back home, gets kicked out.
This is not going to replace Riders of Justice in my house, no.
But yeah, even the title card says everybody comes together, or everybody gets together, and then they're having this big brunch, and every single character of note, other than maybe Moses' mom, is around the table. Like the neighbor is there, the music teacher is there, the little boy that hangs out with the teacher is there.
I guess it's supposed to be Moses' baby brother, his little kid brother.
Yes, that was the most. I was like, how'd that kid get there? Like the last time that we saw him, he didn't want anything to do with Moses, right? Moses knocking on the door, and the kid calls mom, and they kick him out. When it started, I thought it was a dream sequence. I thought it was just this weird, surreal. Because what
it kind of goes on like that because they end up playing music together.
Yeah. So I was thrown for a loop when that was not the case. It's just the movie kept going. The neighbor goes into labor, and then we just go into the next sequence. And the thing that happens right before that, I don't know if you remember, it's just like this very short segment that says something like, what is her name again? Mila. Mila listens to dead people or something, and it's just a shot of her in the middle of the night looking out the window, and she's like thinking. And then we cut to like the big dinner. So I thought, okay, is this her like imagining stuff? That's what's happening. But no, that wasn't the case. And dude, it took me out of the movie. I just couldn't get back into it. I was like, what is happening? I kept waiting. It was like in a Rob and Michelle's reunion when they have that really long fantasy sequence. I thought maybe it's like this. This is going to go on for like 10, 15 minutes. And then it's going to come the reveal that, she wakes up in the hospital or something, but no, it just never happened. And I had a serious problem with the movie after that. I had a lot of trouble getting back in. I'm guessing that was not the case because you seem a lot less bothered by it.
I was trying to remember the guy that they dance with in Romeo and Michelle, Alan Cumming. It was one of those names. It was like here. And I was like, I can't come out. Yeah. That's what I see. Guten Tag, yeah. This is a pretty, I hate to be so kind of like dismissive of it, but there was just some intrigue with the way the movie was presented and like kind of what was happening, and the idea that maybe she could, in her state, start making these bad decisions and going down a bad road with this guy, and then it just became, everything's like just for her, and it just basically becomes like a paint by pictures tragic tale of someone who succumbs to their illness and whatnot. Like the first half kind of offered a movie that didn't really pan out in the second.
Yeah.
So
the first half gives you hope that they're gonna, because everybody's so wacky. That you're like, well, maybe they're gonna take it into a different direction. It doesn't happen, and I am not a fan of this specific genre of movie. I don't know what you call it, but the terminal illness movie, where it usually ends in a brutal scene where one of the people you've grown to like through the movie eventually, gets defeated by the illness, and that doesn't mean they can't be good movies. It just means that they're a beating. So I usually come out of them just worn out, which even though I wasn't crazy about Babyteeth, I still felt it at the end. I think because, Alex, and this might be the most interesting thing that occurred to me while I was watching this movie, and it was towards the end, because Essie Davis is punching Moses and telling him that she didn't get to say goodbye. And that idea is something that, especially I think as you grow older, it becomes more prevalent. Right, and I was thinking about it because my mom was visiting last couple of weeks, and we almost accidentally binged 2 shows about doctors and hospitals, and so those type of shows, people die every episode.
Yeah,
and sometimes they die alone, sometimes they die with their family by their side, and so this idea that sometimes you don't know that you're having the last interaction with a person. You just know in retrospect, like after it's already happened, you're like, holy shit. And so getting to say goodbye is something that's precious. And this family, they were all together and it still didn't happen. It's like they were there with their kid that was really sick. They could see it. You would think that that's one of those instances where if she's going to pass surrounded by them. And instead, she passes in the arms of this asshole that I guess she loved, but he doesn't really seem to care that much. That is a fucking tragedy, and I completely understand Essie Davis's reaction. Mendelsohn's too, it's more subdued, but still. And I feel that thought and that idea deserves a better movie than the movie that gave me the thought. So, anyway. I'm not a fan of these. Like, there is no way that I would ever rewatch Babyteeth. So I can't even tell you, hey, maybe if I watch it again, I would, because like it happens so often. You know where the movie's going, so you can just enjoy the ride a little better. But this movie, I mean, like you said, not putting in the rotation.
Yeah. There's plenty of tragic movies that I really enjoy. I've well documented on this podcast how much I love Dancer in the Dark. So it's not like I can't just do movies that are, because that movie's kind of a beating. Not to say that I watch that movie every fucking 6 months. You got to bring something, man. You got to have something memorable. And as good as some of the acting is in this, and I do enjoy some of the cinematography. It's just kind of like when it's over, you feel like I've seen that before, and it's sad. So I don't really want to watch it again. Trying to think of other like movies that would be described as tragedies that I enjoy, but
it's kind of an old movie. I guess it's just officially old now. We're in 2025, but that movie with Robin Williams and Robert De Niro, Awakenings. Do you know?
I know what you're talking about. I haven't seen it before.
It's really sad, and I don't think this is a spoiler, especially because it's such an old movie, and it's really not about the big twist. But basically, Robin Williams is a doctor with an experimental treatment, and he gets Robert De Niro to, I think, wake up from a coma. And then, unfortunately, it doesn't last. So the second half of the movie is De Niro slowly getting back into the sickness and then either dying or going back to coma. It is heartbreaking. It's a really good movie. Two great actors. But it's like one and done. I am not putting myself through Awakenings ever again.
Yeah.
But yeah, that kind of movie. They are kind of popular, I think, more recently. Or maybe they've always been there, and that this is just what I think of. But there's a lot of young adult novels I feel that deal with that kind of stuff.
Fault in Our Stars.
Never seen it, but that's one of them is sick, right? Or are they both sick?
Yeah. Told you that was one movie I remember going into like a sold out showing at the end just to kind of survey to see like what the damage was as far as what we're going to clean up, and like everyone was just fucking bawling, man.
Probably the same year or just in the periphery of that. I think it was called 5 Feet Apart, 6 Feet Apart. You remember it was the same thing, like two teens. I think they're both sick in that one. They can't, because of their condition, they can't. It's a risk if they're closer than, 5 feet. So they have like a stick that they keep between each other to make sure they never get too close.
Oh no, that was 2019. That was way past my time in the theater.
Yeah, I saw that in theaters. I think Kelly probably asked me to watch it, and I was like, sure. And I was like, oh my god!
Oh god! Why?
A Walk to Remember, I think. Is that the one with
Mandy Moore?
Mandy Moore, and I don't know who the kid is, but
what is it?
That's a classic at this point. Between Awakenings and The Fault in Our Stars, A Walk to Remember. Hitting all the generations.
Keeper? Do you remember that movie? I screened that movie, and it's really fucking brutal.
Which one?
My Sister's Keeper.
Is that Alec Baldwin?
Abigail Breslin,
yes.
Cameron Diaz, Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
Those are not uplifting, I guess I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, they do tell the spirit, like the story of like the human spirit and whatnot.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not that they're bad movies. It's just that I'm unlikely to revisit them. And then when you...
Like Saturday Night Fever is a tragedy, but at least I get the Bee Gees in it. You know what I mean?
There's some cool dancing. You can always just fool yourself into thinking that it's just about the dancing.
That's a whole generation of people did that, and then went and revisited the movie and like, what the fuck is this?
But see, I think it's different. I'm talking about like specifically medical conditions. That is the part where there is an added hopelessness, because you can always talk yourself into believing that, let's say, John Travolta is going to overcome whatever is against him in Saturday Night Fever, right?
Yeah.
Overcome his ignorance, his biases, whatever. But the movies are specifically about people that are sick, usually set you up as in like, you know what? It's a really long shot. And then the trick is that they get you to believe that maybe there's hope, that you're not going to see this person pass away before the end, or that maybe the movie will end before, that happens. And then it still happens. I'll tell you one that I would rewatch, because it I avoided it for the longest time, and then when I finally watched it, I was like, all right, it worked. 50-50 with Seth Rogen and Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Mm-hmm.
Not impressed, or you haven't seen it, you just don't want to.
I don't remember enjoying that movie.
Dude, one, I think my recollection is pretty funny, but also, I mean, it kind of cheats because Joseph Gordon-Levitt makes it, right? He's actually one of the lucky ones. They managed to, he's cured. He's in remission by the end of the movie. But my memory is that they
Angelica Houston get nominated for an Oscar for that movie?
Who did?
Angelica Houston?
Maybe. I mean, she plays the mom.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I know she's his mom, and I'm just that I didn't mean to cut you off. But that randomly just came to my head because
you're like they gave it to Angelica Houston, not Seth Rogen.
I'm pretty sure. Hold on, I might be wrong about that. Anyway, carry on.
Well, that is a movie that I think it's in that genre, but it's when it's over. I mean, you're still shaken, but you're not thoroughly depressed.
It does a good job of establishing like it can happen to anybody, which it's not just like old people and shit. And it's also not a kid, which is like that's a very easy go-to.
Right.
It's like, oh, this is a kid, and it's just like it's just a healthy dude in his 30s. Yeah, it wasn't anything like that had to do with like the actual treatment of the illness or anything. I just remember like I was kind of bored with that movie.
What the fuck, Alex? You need to rewatch 50.
Yeah, again, there's a litany of film that I screened at 2 a.m. and like flying off of a fucking huge cup of Mr. Pibb just trying to stay awake while watching it that I probably have a skewed opinion of. So I'm certainly open to rewatching it. I just remember in the moment not finding it too good.
There's a moment in the trailer where Seth Rogen tells him, you get 50-50 chances if you're in Vegas. Those are great odds.
Yeah. It could also be it too of like it might have freaked me out. George Clooney movie. What is the one that as I've lived through life, I came around on? The Descendants.
Yes. Yeah.
In the moment, it might have been too bleak for me, but now that I've seen that life is nothing but endless pain, now that I realize, it's so.
It might be telling of Babyteeth as a movie that we just spent so much time talking about.
That was my next point when you took a break and talking. I was going to be like, should call out that we've been talking about other movies for the past 10 minutes. No Angelica Houston nomination, by the way. I don't know why I thought that. And maybe it was just like she got all the praise and shit when that came out.
Yeah, she's. She's a little bit like Meryl Streep, I think, where if you see her, you just expect critical reception to be good.
I mean, she is an Oscar winner, and she was also Morticia in the Addams Family.
That's his big blockbuster role. Oh well, here's the big. The big point, Alex, and again, it's not so much Babyteeth. It's Babyteeth and another movie. Now that we're done with it, do you see why some people were comparing it with Dinner in America?
No.
Well, I kind of did.
One of them fucking rules. Like in the other one's Babyteeth.
But it was that scene where the Oscar scene that you called out. When Moses gets through the window and they have that talk, that was the first time it clicked. I was like, oh, because this kid is potentially a bad influence on this girl that hasn't lived a whole lot. And then they develop a romance and they grow together and whatever. Except that that's not what happens in Babyteeth, but you could argue it's what happens in Dinner in America.
There's still a level of levity with Dinner in America that like there's a level of I hate to say melodrama given the subject matter, but it's like this movie clearly wants you to feel it. It's not unlike the Ultimate Fighter. It wants you to feel it. Another hit is landed. Whereas Dinner in America keeps its level of levity, as I said, throughout the entire thing. Like I'm not going to go with that comparison. If if just in like visual, if that's what you're trying to say, yes, I can.
I mean,
scumbag dude comes along, pretty young girl.
On the surface, yeah.
Yeah.
Kyle Gollner would not put up with any of Moses' shit.
Kyle Gallner would wipe the floor with Moses.
That is the real statement from the Contrarians about Babyteeth. Ben Murray, you gave us this movie to watch. I think I remember you speaking positively of it. In fact, do you have his letterbox there?
Yeah, it was, if I remember correctly, a 4-star review he gave this. No actual written review.
Okay. There were no words.
His brother in pod, Paul Myers, also gave it 4 stars.
Well, it's not 4 stars for me.
It is not 4 stars for me.
Ben, I'm gonna land on 3 stars. Which honestly, some of the emotions probably warrant at least a 3.5. But here's the thing: that Christmas brunch really bothers me. Like anytime in the last couple of days when I've been thinking about the movie, I was like, maybe it's better than I'm giving it credit for. And then I would remember that fucking brunch scene. I was like, oh yeah, that didn't make any sense.
I'm out.
Yeah,
can't do the brunch.
Maybe it makes more sense in the play. I don't know, but I just don't. I don't like it. 3, still good. I would maybe recommend to fans of this type of movie, but I would tell them also it's exactly that. So, for better or for worse, what's your score, Alex?
Star wise, yeah, it would be 3. I guess that's like a C+, B-, if I'm being generous. There's some good acting, as I mentioned. Do got love for my boy Ben Medelsohn. It's. I don't know how I say it without just sounding like a dickhead, but it's like at this point, if you're gonna bring a tragedy to the table, and I'm not saying this to Ben because Ben, throw me any movie you want, but just for like thinking like in the big picture, as far as like a movie that tells a tale of a tragedy, it's probably best that you bring something I haven't seen before because it's gonna be like. I'm already at an age where if I can tell a movie's going to be a beating, I'm like, oh man. So like I need something new or something different or something, biting to grip into as opposed to just like, they just continue to get worse and, they're probably going to die here in the end. And that's a storyline with Ben Medelsohn and the pregnant neighbor. If they had continued that, I probably would have been hooked into that, but it just kind of happens and it dies. So.
I was waiting for that to lead somewhere and it didn't, so that's also added to my list of complaints. But to end on a positive note, I really like the end credits with the waves crashing all throughout. I don't think there's any music. I think it's just the sound of the beach as the credits roll. All the
very tranquil.
Yeah, it was good. And Essie Davis and Ben Mendelsohn get the with and the very end, like the royalty they are in Australia. So no, that's it. That's it for Babyteeth. If you haven't seen it, there's a good chance you don't want to now, or maybe you do, because again, this is very much the kind of movie that some people enjoy. So let us know what you think. Let us know what your thoughts are on Babyteeth, Mendelsohn, S. Davis, just these terminal illness movies. Anything you want. Coming up next, Alex, I think our next QVRs are separate. If I remember correctly, I have Barry Lyndon, and you have some movie that I've never heard of. But those are going to be on the Patron channel, and those are courtesy of Ryan. But just keep an eye on this channel.
Oh, yes, Sultan,
whatever that is.
Some 3.5 hour movie that Ryan's just trying to kill me with.
You can always see more of these on our channel, Patron channel, patreon.com/Contrarian Prime. Take a look, see if you would like to join the Contrarian supplements. And then just because we are dropping this before it happens, live stream for The Cure coming up soon, May 17th, 4 p.m.
I lost my lighting. Shit.
It's the darkness of...
I know.
There you go.
There we go. I was wondering why it was fading, because those of y'all who are still watching this, you could see it probably was like getting darker and darker. I didn't realize I didn't have it plugged in, and it was just running off its battery life. So.
I just thought it was your mood.
My
as the
mood,
movie.
yes.
Yeah. Anyway, Lives
Well,
for the
shit.
Cure.
Yeah.
Help us. I mean, this is timely. Help us
Mhm.
raise money for cancer research. We'll be there May 17th, 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern. We'll be talking about horror movies. The audience is going to throw horror movies at us, and we'll do mini Contrarians reviews. So yeah, look on the description for the link, and also we should have a promo on our channel that you can just watch in 30 seconds. But join us; it'll be fun. It's for a good cause. And now it's time to say goodbye. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We'll talk to you again soon.